1, 2, 3. There's 4 phones.
We have so much technology.
So many.
So many cameras.
I had to show you guys my shirt. Props to Marla. If you guys want to
$10.
order one.
Is that a good price, Greta?
Yeah,
How much are
I
you
don't think so.
charging?
You know, I don't know. I think if you guys want a shirt, that we could talk about it because the shirt itself was $8. But it's from it's from Target. It's very classy.
It is very fun.
The shirt isn't. The shirt is made. The T-shirt itself is.
The T-shirt itself was $8.
But if you want the Winosaurus on it,
yeah,
it's gonna cost
yeah, you can talk to me if you want.
Gonna
I'll
cost
buy a
ya.
shirt.
Alright, are we ready for this?
So ready.
Alright.
So ready.
Well, hello everybody. It's Wine Wednesday again.
Oh, cheers.
Cheers. Welcome back to another edition of this fabulous thing we've got going here called Wine Wednesday. That's our thing today.
Little Cardi B in the house.
There's a lot of talk going around with how strong the market's been.
Yes.
Are we going for a crash? Is it going to happen?
I think there's more talk about the market's gonna crash
Yeah.
than how strong the market's been.
Right?
Everybody, that's all anybody says. Nobody
Yes.
wants to be
No one?
optimistic. They just want to say it's gonna crash. It's
Yeah,
gonna crash.
well, that's what gets the headlines, right?
Yes. Depending on which channel you're watching.
Today, we're going to discuss and
We're gonna
debate
debate.
whether or not
It's
we
gonna be
are
a hot
headed
debate.
in that direction, and we agree on some points. We disagree on some others.
Imagine that.
So this could be some good made for TV right here. All right.
Okay.
So what's our first kind of point here?
Oh, we're going to go dive right into
Yeah,
it.
We're
let's
diving
dive
All
right
right,
in.
all right, all right.
Yeah.
So, let's give credit where credit is due. We have 13 points, and now Gord Collins. This is an article that Gord Collins wrote.
Yeah, GordCollins.com.
He has 13 indicators of if the housing market crash factors.
And we're
That
going to
hasn't
debate
happened.
his 13 issues.
Yes, yeah. Now I don't know where he got those,
Reasons.
but
He probably made them up. But
we're
we're
just
going to
giving
go.
credit to him. So, okay, number 1 on the list is excessively high home prices via a price bubble. We're just talking about Columbus, Central Ohio right
Yeah,
now.
yeah, because I don't know all the markets, but
Yeah,
obviously.
I think that is a legitimate long-term concern. I don't think
Mhm.
right at this minute that tomorrow everything's gonna just, the bubble's gonna
Right,
get pricked
right.
and it's gonna explode. And I do think that what happens outside of Columbus also impacts us, even though it's not our local market.
Mhm.
You know, the coasts and, you know, all that stuff, you know, east and west and, you know, the
But
southern coast.
Columbus is rapidly growing.
And that's the part that scares me a
That's
little bit, is
what-
that we've gone up faster than we normally do.
But we have, and I
Price
think
wise?
I think-
Pricing wise.
Yes.
that the prices needed to go up in Columbus just because we're growing so much. I don't think that we're in an actual bubble because people are still buying houses. The problem right now is that we don't have any inventory.
And I think the thing that protects us from that bubble a little bit, and with the prices and all, is we run out of, in most respects, unless you start to go pretty far out, of buildable land.
Right. It's
And with
landlocked
that,
in
we're
most
talking
areas.
about, you know, a population influx. And if things are gonna crash, I mean, people are still gonna need a place to live. So I don't see that as an immediate concern, but I do think it's something to keep an eye on.
Yeah, I mean,
What do you see? Like, do you
Well, like-
pulling out your crystal ball? How high would you say? I mean, you know, like, okay, my background from the Chicago area, right? And I'm sure everyone is aware. I mean, housing in Chicago is so expensive. Now, not as expensive New York, California, both coasts, but you know, I always use my mom's house as an example. Where she lives, it's the house I grew up in. Small, 3 bedrooms. It's a bathroom and a living room and kitchen. I mean, that's it. And she could sell now for, because of the proximity to the city. I mean, a couple of years ago, easily $350,000, and someone would just knock that down and then build something on top of it
Is
or
that what's
expand that.
happening around there?
And anyway, you know, so that seems crazy to me based on my experience here.
Uh-huh.
You know, so what I mean,
Well-
how high?
And I think there's a
I-
affordability problem that we're approaching,
Mm-hmm,
because to that point,
mm-hmm,
the average home price in Columbus has steadily grown, but we're over 200,000 now, and you know, this gets to a point that's gonna come up here in a minute, but, you know, I don't wanna
Yeah.
usurp the list, but don't you, oh, grr, like, don't you,
Sorry.
believe it or not, we haven't had that much, so, but, you know, let's go on down the
Okay,
list, and I
okay,
think we're
all
gonna
right.
address some
Yeah,
of
that's
these other
a,
issues
that's
in
kind of
minute.
a, I don't know even that you could answer that question.
Well, so I'll use my first neighborhood I lived in Columbus as an example.
Okay.
And
Oh,
to
yeah,
this- to
yeah,
this
great
point.
example, yeah.
we bought our house in 2001,
And that was,
like days before 9/11
Westgate, we're
closed,
talking
and
about.
Westgate. And we paid $131,000. I think
Mhm.
that house has easily, you know, could sell for $231,000 now.
yeah.
And that was the typical first time home buyer neighborhood back then.
Yeah, yeah.
And I think there are a lot of first time home buyers that can buy in that $250,000 price range. But I don't know still that that's a normal
I
family's
think because
income.
of the interest rates currently, that's why the housing,
What makes it easier?
right. I mean, what you're paying in interest, 10 years ago
Yes.
is much different than,
That's true. Our interest rate was
Don't-
higher back
so
then.
you can afford more house because you're not paying as high of interest.
Don't you think that a lot of why we had the previous bubble though was because of poor lending?
It was, yeah.
That's
I mean, it was
exactly
all
why.
shady
So
lenders.
that's why,
yeah.
like, people can actually afford the houses that they're buying now. So
Right.
I just don't see.
It was
So
shady
so
lending,
the
and then how they
crash-
package those themselves.
Yeah, and the crash this time likely won't be because of lending. It's going to
It'll be different,
Yeah.
different
Yeah.
cause, I think, this
I
time.
think
So-
a lot of it though. I think that we're starting to see prices even out a little bit more as well.
You think?
I mean, personally, I do.
I'm
We'll
curious to
we'll
see
we'll
what
discuss
happens.
that.
I mean, so let's go on to the next
Hang
one,
on.
because I
Hang
think
on.
we've got some things
Yeah,
here.
so- Number
I
two
just talked about that too.
is
Oh, good
increase.
segue.
Number two, increasing underwater mortgages. So are we seeing an increase in underwater mortgages?
The lender mediated properties that the
Yeah.
report that's on the Columbus board that puts out, I mean, we're at one of the lowest levels that we've ever been.
Yeah.
At, bank owned,
Mhm.
underwater, mortgages. People have far surpassed, I think, when so many people were in, 2010, 11,
Mhm.
whatever, were so far underwater. I think they've come back and then
Well,
some.
yeah, and again, that was due to maybe shady lending practices versus now
Right.
job loss or
Right.
something would
Right.
have caused. All right, so number three, fast rising interest mortgage rates. I mean,
It's still not an issue, I don't think.
when's the last time
They're
they raised?
high, but they're not super
They're
high.
not even
And
high.
I
Higher,
think that
yeah.
the Fed is like putting a stop to raising them.
Well, they were
Yeah.
supposed to do 3 increases. They said they were going to do 3 increases last year, and then they pared that down and then only did 2. And that certainly helped. And I think that too much too fast is always a bad thing, whether it's prices or interest rates or any of that.
Yeah, but with that, they do need to increase. I mean,
Yes.
to keep the economy healthy, you do have to.
Well, I think
at
at some point you have to slow down the number of buyers entering the market. I don't
Right.
think that that's necessarily the worst thing, because I think there's going to have to be something that's going to level out the market with the number of homes that are not for sale and that we need to be for sale. That gap has to close, and I think one of the ways to close it is to slow the. I know. you
When
would
is it
think,
gonna
right?
close?
I think we've all thought, well, next year, and then next year comes.
I know.
and
Oh,
no.
this year.
I
this
have
year
stopped
This
saying
is the year.
that.
Nope.
This is the worst year. There is no inventory. It's,
But is it worse than last year? And I think
I
I,
think
said that
it
in the
is.
podcast that
Is
Wayne
what?
and
Go on my Facebook page and see if my video is sideways.
Oh.
too late now.
I'm just curious, because see how the live thing is.
yeah, I did.
Anyways, but I think we've all hoped that
Oh,
this
yeah.
was. Oh, it is. Son of a. Oh, I know.
Son of a buck.
I'll be right back. Carry on, girls.
Yeah, I don't know. I think that we just need more inventory. Like there's no inventory, and I
Well-
don't foresee people selling their houses because like where do they go?
Well, and that's so.
The same thing every year.
You
Right.
said that.
It's
You
been-
it is. There's nothing to buy because there's nothing to buy because no one's selling, but no
Right.
one's selling because there's nothing to
Nothing to
buy.
buy. Mhm.
So at some point, how do you even that out? I
Mhm.
mean, move to Hilliard into an apartment.
drunk right now.
Yeah, well,
How-
I mean, and that's what people are doing is moving into apartments, but apartment living is like, more expensive.
Yes. Yeah. Okay, so the next one is rapid reduction of government spending.
I don't know.
Stop.
What's happening?
Queen Bee in the
We did
background.
not memorize this music.
So do we see a reduction in government spending? No.
I have no idea.
No.
No, actually, it's going up.
It's going
especially,
up.
Especially with the wall.
Yeah. Nothing's happening right now. So, okay, number 5, slowing economy and sudden rises in unemployment. And that's definitely not happening. The economy is great.
Well, I mean,
Employment
is
is
it?
up. Yeah. Depends on what channel you're watching, Amanda. But I mean, unemployment
But
is so
we're
low
seeing,
right now
We're seeing a lot of businesses going out
because
Retail.
of
business.
retail.
A lot
and
of retail.
Thank you, Amazon.
Amazon,
I mean, that
yeah.
has that.
That's
It's,
the
it's a market shift.
Everything
It's not unemployment.
online though is, you know what I mean, is
Well,
like
listen.
taking over.
Yeah, because
This
I
is
can
so
have Whole Foods delivered
I
to my
even-
house
right.
every single day. Why would I go to Kroger?
I even saw that Tesla is switching to online
Mhm.
sales.
That is true. They're closing
Yeah.
400 of them.
So I don't know that I mean, yeah, the malls and retail shopping is changing.
Yeah.
There's a shift, but the overall economy is good and unemployment is down. So that's.
But a lot of it was, like a lot of, I just saw an article the other day, so
Yeah.
I was bringing this up,
Yeah.
is that a lot of retail were closing because, like Victoria's Secret even,
Yeah.
are closing because they didn't see people spending money during the holiday season.
Well, on
Well,
the
because
flip side of
everyone's
that,
online.
well, on the
But-
flip side of that, Target said that their sales were up 5% and that
Oh, really?
they're firing on all cylinders. So I think it's just different retail strategies.
Yeah.
But
I
you
mean,
are
Victoria's
seeing-
Secret though, you know what I mean, it's different
Yeah.
than Target.
Well, sure. Yeah, but I mean, you're seeing like, longtime retailers, Payless Shoes just announced, and then
They're,
even
yeah, they're gonna visit, like
um,
four.
even
Right?
Family Dollar,
Four?
So with
they're going all out of
Payless,
business.
yeah.
Payless.
with Payless, I had read an article that it was they were purchased by a company that then, who has done this with other retail businesses too, has just
Equity
completely
firms, yep.
liquidated everything
Mhm.
and wanted them essentially to go out of
Yeah.
business because it made them more money.
Yep.
So
Yeah.
Yep.
Like all
You know,
this
That
stuff.
is
that's a
happening.
different
That's
thing.
reality.
Yeah.
It's just crazy.
So the government is spending more. Yeah, the economy is good.
yeah,
Um,
yeah.
So
Yeah,
what's
so
next one?
so the next one is wage growth not keeping up with home prices. I
I
mean,
do think that is a problem. Home prices are, appreciating in some areas 10% or more, and wages aren't growing that fast. And actually, there's just an article in the Dispatch yesterday about the city of Columbus having the first time in a few years where the tax collections per capita is going down. They're actually showing an opposite problem. People that are leaving the city
mhm.
are the ones that are making the most money, leaving lower paying jobs. And the way housing prices are going, I just don't think we're keeping up on wages there. So yeah, I think that's not necessarily a problem right this minute, but I think it's something also to keep an eye on.
Well, I think too, and you and I had discussed this. Amanda, I'm curious what you think too. Is that the biggest problem is people where they want to live is not where they can afford. So certain
Mhm.
school districts are, going to be higher priced homes, or everybody watches HGTV and everybody wants the 4-bedroom, 2.5 bath with a formal living room, and that might not be in your price point,
Right.
and certainly not in certain areas.
It's hard to make people realize like what is in their price point. I mean,
Right.
it is
It's
tough.
a reality
Yeah.
that some people
Yeah, and then I
have.
think some people are like, well, I'm just gonna rent them. You know?
Yeah.
But even rent, rent has gotten so
Rent has
expensive.
gotten so expensive. Everywhere is going up. and-
I don't know, are you really saving money on rent? I don't know.
No, you're not. You're
and
not.
then
at
you're
this
not,
point.
and then in that case, you're not saving any money
Right, there just
on
has
the, like, what you're putting in your life equity, you're building someone else's equity at that point.
You're right. And I mean, people like, I think it's hard to come to a realization that there's like give and take of what you want and
Sure.
what you can afford.
Right.
That this whole thing is a delicate balance.
It really is. Yeah. All right. So the next point is tax changes and geopolitical shifts.
So there was a major.
That's
a major.
That's for smart people like this.
There was a
Like
major.
what?
There was a major overhaul of the tax code. For,
Where's Cardi B?
a major. I messed that number again. So there was a major change to the tax code last year that impacted people, and I'm noticing a lot of people saying on Facebook they're getting much smaller returns, and in some cases having to pay where they thought that they would be better off. So there are some things that are happening there. I don't know. I think only time's going to tell. It's too hard to say right now.
Well,
What's geopolitical shift? What is? I mean, what
Well,
would
I think
that
the
be?
whole world, right? I think they're talking about the whole, not just the U.S. and how the U.S., but it's the other parts of the world,
Shifting as well.
Yeah, I mean, are we switching, China, was put out the other day that, they're going to have a lower or slower growth than normal. And all of that stuff, as much as we want to believe we're isolated in the United States and that's going to determine everything for us, it's all of these economies are
Everything
so
happens.
closely tied
Intertwined,
together.
yeah.
That's the word I needed.
You're welcome.
But so those things were all playing together, and I think it's it's too soon to see there. I don't know.
Okay, next point, trade wars.
yeah, I'm just not.
I don't know that
I'm not in the politics.
Yeah, like Wayne's saying, it is all interrelated. I mean, as things shift in the world, they do happen here as well. And I just don't know that trade wars are necessarily happening currently.
Well, they are. I
Are
think
they?
they're happening way more now. The current presidential administration has made that a top, policy thing. Where the president
Is that
thought
why gas
that
is
was.
going on?
I think that
Here, that's different.
that's a much bigger.
Yeah.
That's a much bigger.
Yeah, they're
different issue.
taxing us because they want to fix the roads.
But the tariffs on
another way to make
the
money.
tariffs that were added, I think,
Taxes.
Huh?
well, that's the state.
No, that's
the,
gas tax.
The state of Ohio is raising the gas tax to help pay.
Isn't that
for
what
it.
you were asking?
Yeah, but what about city taxes? Like, what is that?
Right. Where's
I
all the money
don't know
going?
the taxes.
Well, listen, here's the thing. There are pensions that need to be paid and people in
Yeah.
office who need money. So,
Right.
let's tax
Well,
everybody. I mean,
But back to the trade war thing, just
Yeah,
real
yeah,
quick.
sorry.
So the
Back
end
on
of
topic.
last year, when all the tariffs were announced, and we had these
Yeah.
tariff battles going on between us and China and all these other
Yeah.
countries, the stock market freaked out, right? I
Right.
mean,
Yeah.
if you
Yeah.
pay any attention to that, you probably noticed your value went down pretty significantly towards the end of last year. That's the fears there. I feel like have eased, and I don't feel like it had any impact on housing. I guess
Mhm.
is.
Oh, well,
what I
okay,
mean.
and that's what we're discussing today, is housing. All right.
But it all again, the
Well,
stock market, it all
nice
of that
segue.
ties together.
Nice thing, yeah.
A stock market bubble and volatility.
That's definitely.
Do you think stock market is volatile right now
I
and in a bubble?
it was volatile at the end of the year, but just like housing prices,
Is
it's
it
gone
any
up
more
so fast.
volatile than it was in prior administrations? Do you think?
So in 2001.
I mean,
when-
it's been consistently up down, up down, up
Well,
down, up down.
2001. I mean, we all know what happened, and that was all caused by maybe external geopolitical
Right, right.
things that happened, 9/11 and all
Yeah.
the fallout from that, and markets tanked. I mean, I
Yes.
don't know that we've ever seen volatility, or we've seen volatility like that since
Mm-hmm.
the Great Depression. During the latter half of and then from 2008, we entered into a cycle, I think, where things have been pretty good. They've continued to be good, but I just feel like they've gone up too far, too
Too
fast.
much, too fast. It's
And I think if you listen to a lot of people prognosticate about this, that I think that they, a lot of people are saying, my financial advisor warns me, maybe we need a little more conservative right now.
Well, what I would suggest is that real estate is a great investment. I mean, money, when you invest in money, you will see that volatility,
You're
up, down,
buying
up, down,
something-
up, down. But real estate has been safe. I mean, it did crash. That was a lending issue.
Right.
I mean, there,
But you,
there,
But even
but
in
even-
you
Columbus-
need somewhere to live,
Yeah.
right?
well, I mean, yeah, and you're, yeah.
And even in Columbus during the crash, we were relatively insulated compared to, again, going
A
back
lot
to the
of
coast.
other areas, yeah.
In Miami,
Yeah.
they were building condos like crazy at the time, and I remember seeing stories about people walking away from $100,000 deposit on a condo in Miami because it was cheaper than actually going through with the purchase but they put the deposit down to build it. But by the time it was built, the price had gone so far down, losing the $100,000 was the better
oh
option.
my god,
That's so
Um,
crazy.
I cannot even.
We
Well, I
don't
guess I
have
just watched
that
the movie,
here, like The Big Short.
Yeah, yeah,
We
yeah.
we talked about that. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. That is
It
like
really-
way over my head,
it's
but
so
Oh,
crazy.
it made me learn a lot.
it did
actually.
absolutely.
It's
So-
very informative.
There are areas here, and I remember a few years ago showing some condos in Blacklick that they were built by one builder who went bankrupt in the crash and then was taken over by another builder. Some of the condos had been left empty at that point, but they were continuing on with the
Yep.
plan, and so it was interesting to see that. And they have since a couple of years ago
Right.
sold out, but
Well, and we talked about too, I call them ghost neighborhoods.
yeah.
Like if you flew, we fly to Florida, once or twice a year to
Mhm.
see family, and we always travel through Atlanta. And I always remember and thinking back, flying into Atlanta, you would fly over these subdivisions where the streets were there,
Yeah,
and there were no homes, and it was like almost
crazy.
like
yeah.
one of those Armageddon movies where
Yeah.
like weeds are starting to grow over the streets and stuff because they stopped building. They just
dead.
completely
Yeah.
stopped. But the streets and stuff were there. It just was always kind of
Weird,
creepy to me.
eerie.
But
All right, so next is, where are we? High level of consumer debt affecting debt servicing. I don't see that right now. I mean,
I don't either.
people getting approved are,
Yeah, I don't.
I read an article
It's-
not too distant past where because of the recession that we went through, people were saving better than we had been. But
Yeah.
I do feel like maybe people are starting
Maybe a
to
little bit
loosen
more.
up.
Informed.
although I did see a headline today that consumer debt is higher than it's ever been.
Really?
But I mean,
I think it fluctuates. I mean,
Yeah.
when the market's good, and this is how everything is tied together, the stock market, housing, this stuff all is interrelated, but in any case, when things are good, people are spending more money, but that's what's fueling the
Mhm.
economy, is that people are spending money. It's
Do you
when,
think that people are spending money right now?
oh yeah,
Yeah.
like, go to the mall on a Saturday, well, I mean, not us, cause it's our bad time of year,
I'm like taxes.
Still spending
what?
money.
I know. Well,
but go to Polaris on
I
a Saturday,
should,
or,
yeah. or
Yeah, it's packed.
you
People
know.
are spending.
Yeah, I spend money.
All right.
although I'll tell you, in the middle of reception, I'd walk around Polaris, I'm like, aren't we in a recession, like, where are these people getting all their money, but.
We're not. All right, cost of living rises. Is the cost of living rising?
Absolutely. Houses are going up. I mean,
Look, all I know is
you
my
know,
number
they-
5 at McDonald's costs a lot more than that.
Yeah, right. That's what I was gonna say. Like when you go to a restaurant,
Gas
it's
in
like
Columbus is going to cost a whole
Gas-
heck of a lot more
gas
before
is
too
more.
long.
In Ohio, the whole
like
state,
I feel like my water has gone up. My
everything.
utilities-
Electric, because they swapped out my meter.
my beer prices,
Electric.
my wine prices.
It is funny though, if you search on the internet, there are economists that have done these indicators based on simple things like beer prices, McDonald's prices.
Because everybody's still gonna go out and they're still going to enjoy dinner and drinks,
Mhm.
and because that's one thing
Still
that will
have to
never
drive.
go away, right?
All
You
I
still have to
know
drive.
Still
is I
correct.
moved down to the short north, a little over 2 years ago, and I swear it is so expensive to go out in the short north.
Oh, sure.
To eat, to
It's
get a
fun,
drink.
though.
I mean,
like
it is a
short
good
north.
time. But I've been to others, like Chicago or
Mhm.
whatever. It's hard to get a beer for less than $7
Oh,
or
yeah,
whatever.
forget it.
It's starting to get like that. I feel like in the short north, like where everything costs so much.
Everything does cost so much.
Do you
but I think
remember,
that is
like,
a problem.
And like,
Prices
I
are
mean,
like,
happy hour prices are going up. I'm
Well,
like,
I was Wayne, do you remember
less
back in the
happy hour
day?
too.
Silver coin night, like you get 25-cent taps, and like,
Oh, I remember back in college. It was
we used to have like dollar draft nights.
we had 25-cent.
Wow.
we could take your
That's
own.
before my time.
Yeah, no, that's what I'm saying.
Well, you
Wait,
would take
I
your
know.
own glass, and the
Yeah.
saying was the WTF. It's only $1, so you know what WTF means.
Oh, I
Um,
like
What does
that.
it mean?
Yeah.
Huh? What's that mean? What's
Hey,
that
I said
mean?
it on last week's episode. You're not getting me this time. Okay.
All right, next on the list, risky low-rate mortgages notice for new home buyers.
I am definitely not seeing that.
No, that's not happening. All right, number 13, high oil and gas and energy prices.
Well, yeah, we just talked about it.
Yeah, because you still need
We just talked about
energy,
it.
Yeah,
gas,
yeah.
and oil.
And Ohio is now, there's a bill before the Ohio legislature to raise the gas tax, to help pay for road
Yeah.
repairs.
Because people
Like we
to
need more, I feel like we
pay.
need more construction right now, I'm so tired of construction.
Well, they
but-
can't finish projects that they work on.
Well, that's just it. And so, yeah, so the good thing is it looks like they paired it, it was gonna be 18 cents a gallon.
It's 11.
Yeah,
11
so
cents
it's
now.
like,
Oh,
it was like
yeah.
10.6 or something. They-
Interesting.
I
So
saw
does that mean
actually
all the
11.
gas stations are gonna have to change the 9? You know how it's like $1.99.9? So if they do it like
No,
0.6
isn't
cents, is
it-
it gonna
wouldn't it
be
be like a-
0.5 now? Like,
It would be 11 cents more, right?
well, yeah, but what I'm saying is, so what I saw, maybe this has changed. This morning it said the bill was like 10.6 cents per gallon increase. So 0.6, so you know how like gas is $1.99 and they just have the little 9?
Yeah,
So it's like $1.99.9.
yeah.
So now is it
I
gonna
don't
be
think
like
it's the
$1.99?
It's not the
Five,
point, it would be the point, right?
Well, it would be the point plus that, because it's 10.6 cents per gallon.
I don't know, all I know is I still need gas. I'm gonna buy it.
But because that's
Jenny
10
pay for it.
Jenny
10
told me she doesn't look at it.
10.6 cents.
I know, not for gas. It's too
10.6 cents
frustrating.
is 0.106.
What?
If they raise it,
Wait, we don't want to talk about it.
okay. You guys see what
I called Jenny one day and I was like, Jenny, I just paid 20 cents more per gallon at a different gas station, and she was like, don't look at it.
Don't look at the
Don't
gas
look at
prices.
it.
It's too
I was like,
frustrating.
But I drove like seriously like 0.1 miles and it was 20
Go
cents
on
cheaper.
Google
I was
Maps. It
so-
shows you the prices all around
Don't
there.
bother.
Oh.
Someone just said something.
You're like, who cares?
Who cares?
Is that on?
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
But thank you for that.
I'm sorry, I can't
information
see
because
from
I'm not Jenny and I will look.
Ooh, shade thrown.
No, she.
Sorry, we watched a Cardi B video right before this started about all her sayings, and now we are all
Now we're all about
we're
Cardi
hooked
B.
on Cardi
She's
B.
our
sayings.
new queen.
Yeah.
Yes.
So is that the last
she
one
is.
or
No,
last?
that's it.
That's
We're
Alright.
done. We
So
done.
here, let's boil it down.
No market crash.
Not
It's my
anytime soon,
opinion.
I don't think.
No.
I mean, I don't think there is. Like, it's just really confusing time, I think.
For real estate agents.
Well,
Time of year.
We just would like some listings to hit so buyers can buy and
I
sellers
think-
can sell.
that's the
I
thing,
think
though,
the
like,
biggest
is that a
threat to
market
real
crash?
estate. I don't think it's a market crash, but because to me, a market crash means that prices are just going to go through the floor. You know, like where they
Yeah.
bad in
Yeah.
a bad way.
Yeah.
The opposite's happening. Prices are going up
Mm-hmm.
faster than normal.
Yeah.
But I think the biggest threat to the industry is the lack of listings right now. Oopsie.
It is. It's crazy.
And so that's something to keep an eye on. So no crash right now. I think we're all in agreement.
Yeah. Yeah. No,
Yeah.
Not this year. Not 2020 anyway.
So see us next Wednesday here, and we'll
Mhm.
have another exciting topic for you and more Cardi B sayings, I'm sure.
Or not.
Or
We'll-
not.
we'll
Or
just
maybe
see
another
what-
person.
we're
She's
gonna
Cardi
say-
B can be
Cardi
so
sayings.
yesterday,
Oh.
and we're gonna have someone new.
We'll have someone new.
Yeah. So anyway, see us next Wednesday.
Cheers,
Wednesday,
everyone.
Wednesday.
You want to show off your sweatshirt or t-shirt?
Oh.
Oh, I guess I'll show you my shirt again.
In case anybody
so
wants to
she's gonna
buy.
turn us all,
Yeah, so
like, she's
wine
gonna
and
turn
store.
live off.
Wine and store. Yep.
When-
Bye, y'all.
Check it out. Finish.
Oh, here.